Welcome back to Intentional Living. We're approaching the midpoint of the year, and around this time, the same question starts showing up everywhere. Am I on track? Right? Am I where I thought I would be? Am I behind? Am I doing what I should be doing, or should I be doing more? Should I be working harder? Those questions seem reasonable and they seem right for the mid-year. But today, I want to offer you a different question, or even to ask you a different question. Are you still aligned? Because it's entirely possible to be productive and to be responsible, to be checking every box on your to-do list, and still feel disconnected from the life you are creating. So today we're not talking about catching up. We're not talking about making the second half of the year one long sprint, right? We're talking about something much more important. We're talking about checking in with yourself honestly before you decide what comes next. Why am I on track? Isn't always the best question. I don't think am I on track is a bad question, right? The problem is that it assumes you're following the right track in the first place, right? So asking am I on track isn't a bad question. It just may not be the right question. Because sometimes we become so focused on reaching a destination that we stop asking ourselves whether it's still the destination that we actually want. Maybe the goal makes perfect sense 6 months ago, right? It made perfect sense 6 months ago. Maybe it made sense before life changed, right? Before your priorities shifted. Before your children got older and left and you're now an empty nester. Before your health changed, right? Some of us are going through menopause or perimenopause. Before your career changed. Before you change. Growth has a way of changing us. And when we grow, our goals sometimes need to grow with us. Progress and alignment are not the same thing, right? So one of the biggest lessons that I have learned is that progress and alignment are not the same thing. Progress measures movement. Alignment measures direction. Right? You can move very quickly in a direction that no longer fits who you are becoming or who you've become. You can accomplish things while quietly feeling exhausted. You can keep saying yes because you've always said yes. You can keep carrying responsibilities because it's what's expected of you, or you think it's what's expected of you. From the outside, it looks like success. But inside, something feels off. And that doesn't mean something is wrong. It may simply mean that you are ready for a different season. So, why are we carrying things that no longer fit? So many of us become incredibly good at carrying things that no longer fit. Responsibilities, expectations, roles, right? Other people's needs, right? Putting other people's needs before our needs. And sometimes we continue carrying goals that no longer belong to us. Not because we love them, right? Not because we are in love with the goals, right, that we have set, but because we've invested so much time. Like, it's like someone that stays in a relationship that they know they should be leaving. They feel like they've invested so much time that they need to stay, right? Or because people expect us to stay or continue to do what we're doing, or because we're afraid that changing directions means that we somehow failed, right? But changing directions isn't failure. Having to pivot isn't failure. Sometimes it's wisdom. Sometimes it's maturity, which goes with growth. And sometimes it's just the healthiest decision that you can make for yourself. And here's something I've noticed in my own life and in coaching, right? Pressure really creates clarity. Pressure usually creates panic. When we feel behind, our instinct, our natural instinct is to speed up. We add another goal, or we buy another planner, right? Or we find another tool to use. We work longer hours. We push harder. But clarity doesn't usually happen when we're rushing. Clarity shows up when we're willing to pause long enough to tell ourselves the truth. I'm telling you, honesty is important, especially when it comes to being honest with yourself. Pausing, stopping isn't laziness. It's you leading, right? It's you being a leader over your own life, right? It's leadership of your own life, right? And so honesty has to come before change. And real change starts with honesty. It's not judgment. It's not guilt. It's not shame. None of those things serve you, right? Honesty is what serves you. And maybe you no longer want what you once wanted, and it's okay. It's okay to say that out loud. Maybe your priorities have changed. Maybe you've outgrown a version of yourself. That isn't something to criticize yourself about. It's just information. It's something for you to acknowledge, because once you're honest, you can make intentional decisions. Without honesty, you're simply repeating patterns. That's it. Without honesty, you're simply just doing the same thing over and over, right? And what is the definition of doing things over and over, right? So here's the question to ask yourself. As you prepare for the second half of the year, instead of asking yourself, am I on track? I want you to ask yourself the following questions. What still matters most to me? What have I been doing simply because I've always done it? Where do I feel energized? Where do I feel drained? What expectations am I carrying that no longer fit? And if I was starting today, would I choose the same direction? And here's the most important question. Perhaps this is the most important question. What would it look like to make my next decision from alignment, right? Being aligned instead of pressure. Those questions won't necessarily give you immediate answers. In fact, you should take your time answering those questions. But they will help you ask better questions, right? Because each response to those questions will probably lead to a better question and then a better decision. And so, if today's conversation, if the information I just shared resonates with you, I want you to know that you don't have to figure it all out today, and you don't have to figure it out alone. This isn't about reinventing your life overnight. Like, this isn't about making some dramatic change. It's about becoming more intentional with the life you're already building, right? Intention is key. Anybody that knows me knows that I am the intention queen. So one honest conversation with yourself can change the direction of your next 6 months. And so thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending some time with me. If this video encouraged you, I would love for you to like it, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone else who may need this reminder. And if you're ready to take a deeper look, a closer look at what it feels to be out of alignment, the alignment audit is a practical step. It will help you identify what's no longer serving you, what still matters, and where you may need to make intentional shifts. If you're looking for ongoing encouragement and thoughtful conversations, I'm also going to invite you to join the Thrive Circle community. It's a community of like-minded women committed to living with greater clarity, confidence, and intention. And so, until next time, remember, intentional living isn't about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to ask yourself the right questions and to be honest with yourself. I'll see you in the next video.